Today we're going to be working on the ice cream painting. Now you'll be starting with a blank canvas, and unfortunately when I started this video I did not hit play again after stopping it the first time, and I did not record myself painting the background. But what you're going to do is you're going to take that big brush, you're going to make sure there's water on it, you're going to pick up the teal color, some water, and with crisscross brush strokes you're going to paint the entire background. Now you want to do the whole background this way. Avoid obviously painting over the ice cream cone and the ice cream. So crisscross brush strokes like I'm showing you right now. Pick up a little more teal, pick up a little bit of white, see how much, just a little bit of white, and crisscross those brush strokes. Crisscrossing brush strokes with teal and white is going to give it a nice texture look, and you'll see those white strips. Then you're going to take some of the blue, mix it in with a little bit of that teal, pick up a little bit of white, and then you're going to do some darker strokes in the corners of the canvas, just like I'm doing right now. You're going to want to keep working your brush strokes until the background looks the way you want. Now, I've already done the background, but I think I want some more streaky pieces, so I'm going to take white and crisscross it in there while the paint is still wet, and just keep working the paint. Short brush strokes, crisscross, different directions, because we want this background to have a bit of a textured finish. The next thing we'll be working on is the cone. So the cone, you're going to use the big brush and the tan color. Now, you can use the big brush for the bottom part of the cone, but as soon as we move on to the top part of the cone, I recommend moving down a brush size. Right here is where I realized that I need to be doing this part in a smaller brush size. So I scraped off any extra paint that was on the big brush, and I started to paint the rest of the cone with my smaller brush so I can get into those small areas. The next thing we do is go back to our big brush and pick up some orange paint. Now this orange paint is a little thin, so I recommend getting a little bit of white on your brush as well, which I will do here in a second. The white makes it a little more opaque, and it covers up any pencil lines and anything we don't want to see underneath. So take a tiny bit of white and mix it in with your orange. Now right now it's a little light orange, which is fine, and if I want it darker, I'm going to add more orange paint after this has dried. So I'm about to move on to doing the yellow ice cream scoop. I add a little bit of white to this one as well to help with opaqueness and covering up those lines. Now notice I switched around my canvas. However it's easiest for you to paint is how you want the canvas in front of you. So it was easy for me to switch it up, so I did. And here's me after it's dried going in with another coat of orange to make the orange scoop a little darker. And if you feel like you want your orange scoop a little darker orange, then you go ahead and do this step as well. We're going to quickly move on to some background details. These details need to be done in white first, and then we'll go over them in color later. But they have to be white first so they pop against the teal background. So your background lines can be anything you want, but a mix of dots and dash is really cute for this painting. We then move on to the crisscross lines in the cone, and I make these lines with a combination of tan mixed with white, let it dry a little bit, and then I go in multiple times with more colors. There's a little bit of tan mixed with black, and I just keep working these colors back and forth until I like how it looks like the diagonal lines in the base of an ice cream cone. Alright, we are ready to move on to sprinkles. So I use the smallest brush with a little of the pink paint, and I just do some dashes, and then I move on to the blue paint and I do some more dashes. The next thing we're going to do is white highlights. So after our ice cream cone colors have dried, we're going to take the small brush and some white paint and just mark some highlights on our ice cream scoops. So I did some on the bottom part of the orange. Now I'm going to do the bottom part of the yellow. And then I'm going to move on to the top and sides of the yellow. I'll also end up putting some highlight marks on the ice cream cone base and the ice cream cone top. The next thing we do is color in our background accent marks. I recommend playing with the colors that I've given you and using all kinds of different fun colors. Now, I did pink and some dark blue. You can make green, add a little bit of yellow with your blue. I made purple by adding blue and pink together. So whatever colors you want to do your background accent colors, go ahead and have fun with the colors that you're given. We are ready to move on to our black detail lines. So with the small brush, you're going to take a little bit of black paint and you're going to do some little lines around just certain parts of the ice cream cone. I recommend doing some similar lines that I'm showing you here. We don't want to outline the whole ice cream cone because that's going to be too dark and too much of an outline. So just little pieces here and there. And like I said, I recommend looking at how I outlined my ice cream cone. Make sure your lines are kind of thin, not too thick. If your lines are becoming too thick with the brush you're using, move down a brush size. So once we get all of these detail lines done, we're going to be very close to being complete with the whole painting. So nice and slow on the detail lines until you get to a point where you're happy. One last thing before we're done is we're going to put little white dots inside of each of those sprinkles because those sprinkles are shiny and we need a nice highlight mark inside each of those sprinkles. So that's the last thing we do, and then we're going to sign it down in the corner with our initials and the year if you wish. That's it for the ice cream painting. Thanks for painting with me.